the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. AVWeek. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to talk about all the news that's fit to talk about this week. His name is Chris Netto. He's my buddy, pal, also the host of MHO and works for AV Help Desk. Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. One of the other thirds of MHO. His name is Mike Shen. He works for IMS Technology Services and he's sporting a fabulous, sexy beard. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you, Tim?
I am well. So we're trying something out. If you are a fan of the video, if you watch the video, we're trying out a new service, a new product from Zoom. If you haven't read, actually, somewhat of inside baseball, Google Hangouts is going away. Hangouts Live, at least. So that's what we've used for 2 or 3 years now. So we're trying new things out. We'll try this out, see if we like it. If we don't, we'll move on to something else. So there might be a few hiccups here as I share the screens and move around here, guys. So first and foremost, this is from oh good Lord, I can't see first thing already. From SCN, Wainhouse Research evaluates Prism Visual Workplace. The results of testing from Wainhouse, and Wainhouse is a research firm. Quote unquote, the results of testing concluded that Prism Visual Workplace is powerful, flexible, and enterprise ready, and offers a number of customization options to tailor to specific use cases. Chris, you first, because you're the consultant. You also work very closely with a number of you guys' clients. Companies like Wainhouse is having that third party. Does it make it? Does it help when you are speccing a product? Does it help when you're bringing a product in to have a third party say, "Hey, this product is good," or maybe the opposite side, this product is bad? Does it help when you're talking with your clients to say, "Hey, here's a third party giving their opinion of this product"?
Well, anytime you can have somebody outside of the manufacturer saying that it's a good product, is a positive thing. Yes, it's something that you can put in your tool bag when you're talking to customers to say, "Hey, yeah, this is, hey." There's an outside party that goes around and does those type of reviews, but it's just a tool. It's just another piece of verification to what you're selling as a consultant. That is also my responsibility. If I'm out there, I've already done the research on the product as well, and it's my responsibility to go to a customer and say, "Hey, this product, whether it's Prism, whether it's any other manufacturer, here are the 2-3 best products that we can find that does what you're looking for based on our user needs analysis that we did." So yeah, it helps. It's a little more vote of confidence type stuff, but Wainhouse is a consulting firm. Wainhouse is also a reviewer of products. So is there a conflict of interest? That can be debated, but yeah, I see nothing wrong with.
All right, Mr. Shen, kind of same question to you as you're talking with your clients and you're speccing these products. Chris mentioned the fact that Wainhouse is also a consulting firm. Yeah, you could see maybe a back and forth, especially if they're designing the system. Mm-hmm. But from a standpoint of purely looking at it from, hey, we want to give you our 2 cents, our review of this product. How much value is there?
I think there's a lot of value to it. As a matter of fact, on a regular basis, we will bring letters of recommendation to our clients to show them, this is the type of application that we're looking to deploy here in your environment. This is a letter from another customer that we have done this for and the experience that they had with it. The Wayne House research piece, I know has been used in the past by other manufacturers as a point of differentiation, especially, for example, with Polycom. So, I think it has its place. I think it's a good tool to use to try and sell your solution.
Next up, Quantum Ultra, the Quantum Ultra ultra high bandwidth 4K video wall processor from Extron Electronics. Two things about this real quickly. About once a year, I get out to Anaheim and bounce around the old Extron factory. And personally, one of the coolest things I think about that factory is they've got these ginormous testing facilities. They actually have two now that allow them to do all kinds of UA testing, UL testing for other parts of the world that, lets them do in-house testing and then get them certified, right? I was out there about a month or so ago and saw this very product being tested. And it was cool. I mean, you've got it. It takes me back to when I first got into AV, and some of the first big gray boxes that had Extron on the name, right? Mm-hmm. Big, massive, processing going on. Big, massive IOs going on. This is that, right? With a little bit of juju going on. So, Mike, from your standpoint, I've looked at video processors over the past 10 years, I guess, and there are these stalwarts that cost, good God, an awful lot of money. Is there a market for video processors, whether it's 4K or extensively, this thing could obviously do HD as well. Is there still room in the market for video processing?
Absolutely. The question is there room in the marketplace for expensive, bulky video processing? That's the question, really. Now, I'm not familiar with the Quantum. I remember seeing earlier versions of it that Extron had maybe a couple of years ago, and the issue with that particular product is really price point of entry with the features that you can get. Now, when you're talking 4K. Absolutely. There's not many 4K processors out on the market as of now. Most of them are still, 1080p. But, I see a continuing growing trend of video walls over traditional projection. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I think my company's gone tenfold on the number of video walls that we did, say, the 3 years prior to that. So I think that there's definitely room in the marketplace, and if it's the right application, if it has the right I/O and it has the right processing and supports the resolutions you're looking for, then it's probably the right box for you.
All right, very good. Daggone it. All right, from our friends over at Commercial Integrator Magazine. There we go. I'm still learning how to share videos here. Hang on. 2 stories kind of wrapped into one. The first is from our good friend, Mr. Daniel Newman, why businesses will ultimately lose by ignoring augmented reality. Very strong words. Mr. Newman is not shy about his opinions, never has been. I want to highlight this one thing. Quote unquote, the face of the workplace has already changed. Bringing your own device, BYOD, and the ubiquity of smartphones has allowed more employees to work from their homes. Okay. I'm not sure that those two thoughts go in the same sentence, but that's beside the point. The second article is from, again, Commercial Integrator, how this new, quote-unquote, mixed reality Microsoft innovation will change employee training forever. So these are 2 articles that have, within the span of 2 or 3 days, had Commercial Integrator talking about new ways of training, new ways of interacting, new ways of engaging not only employees, but also clients as well. So, Mike, we're going to talk about a couple different things. You and Chris and Melissa Dillman do a show called MHO. It stands for My Humble Opinion, right? I want to say it was either the day or two before Pokemon Go dropped. You guys released an episode of that about augmented reality. It was incredibly serendipitous. It was as somebody who runs AVNation, I was like, "That's freaking cool!" Right? The fact that you guys had that, and then this incredible augmented reality app, biggest one in the history of the world currently, dropped and started breaking records. It was 20 million people in the first 10 days. So take me down this. Yes, Newman's right with BYOD. Yes, he's right when it comes to folks being everywhere with their phone, and that being how we communicate now. The platform we're using today is called Zoom. You can do that on your phone. You can do FaceTime if you have iOS. You can do all sorts of different devices. But augmented reality is not new for with Pokemon Go. It's been there for a while. So we've got all these weird VR and other various technologies coming together. What does this mean for the integrator?
Well, it's a new stream of revenue. I mean, that's ultimately the main point and the main issue with AR. We need the industry to begin to dive into it and adopt it, because it is the way that people are going to be interacting with the world in more than just a game. It's going to be more than just a game that people play, but it will produce different ways to present information and to present content. My company has been doing it for about 2 years now, and we've seen an immense adoption on the event staging side of our company, especially as relates to trade shows and what have you. But on our integration side, we've begun to see an increase in interest for training. Imagine being able to walk into a conference room and using your app, be able to hover over the touch panel, and then a video pops up that shows you how to operate the system. That application is huge. So you need to be able to find the right people. You need to be able to find the right partnerships to be able to offer, an augmented reality solution. It's a stream of revenue that people are just leaving on the table.
Okay, so let me say one thing about what you just said. If you need instructions on how to use a touch panel, you've designed the interface incorrectly.
Fair enough,
I'm saying this as a programmer.
That's a very, very fair, note. So let me put it this way: how about you were to walk into a conference room, and there is a picture on the wall or just a piece of paper on the wall that says "scan here," and then it says "room 137," and when you scan room 137, your touch interface comes up on your phone. That is also a form of AR as well.
Okay, I that one I can buy. Mr. Netto, where does this land all of us?
First of all, I gotta make a point here. You're thinking that once you are trained, or once you play, your training role at a company, that it's over and done with. Companies in massive, Fortune 500 companies with a lot of turnover. What Mike is saying makes sense. You're leaving it to the internal staff of the AV department at whatever Fortune 500 company it is to keep going back and retraining people. The fact is, they may not do that. So taking an AR application and showing people how to use the simplest rooms that may not even have control, just by pointing your phone over it and saying, "Oh, okay, this is what you do," or "Oh, this is what you do," sort of makes sense. It's something that we actually, when we talked about recently on the MHO show, some of the things that got affected, some of the technology that may possibly get affected by AR. One of the coolest things that we saw a couple years ago was the transparent screens, right? Where you would put, and I think Infocom had it in 2013 or whatever it was, where, I think it was Samsung, had a Rolex watch, and behind it, you saw the watch, and then the screen that was in front of it animated it with little bubbles and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It showed the watchmaker making the watch. It was meant for museums. It's meant for displays and retail. Do you need that now? Because if you put your phone up to that same watch and a screen and it is AR enhanced, you're getting that same thing. So I don't know. AR is a really interesting concept. I think that integrators need to be very aware of it. The problem is that, the chatter on the internet is it's all Pokemon Go. Get past that, people. Pokemon Go is one little application to a bigger universe of this, and the smart ones are the ones that are looking at the technology, not just the content, because the content is hugely important in this, but the smart ones are looking at technology and going, how do we meld the two together or make the two work? Because the problem with VR, as cool as VR may be, is the headsets. I was just watching a program the other night on Nova. Don't ask why I was watching Nova, but it was something about World War II.
There's nothing wrong with watching Nova.
It caught my eye right away. And they were talking about the Battle of Normandy, D-Day. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about ships that had sunk, right? And the only way that they could actually see what was going on below the water, or no, better yet, the English had created these floating bridges or floating ports or docks at the time, and a lot of them sunk. So they actually enhanced that via digital and VR and went to a 3D type thing. The guy puts on the VR glasses and he's able to go underneath the bridges to see how the bridges actually floated. Concrete bridges. I mean, the applications are endless. It's now up to us. On the simulation side of AV has been in business for a long time. Look how many government agencies employ that. So that's my...
Well, and here's the other thing, and totally geeked out. If you've not watched the Netflix show Stranger Things, and you are a fan of either the '80s or psychological thrillers and just thrillers in general, it's a very good show. I think there's only eight episodes. It's very easy to binge through. They have an augmented a virtual reality interface that you can do. On their website, on the Stranger Things website, where you can walk through one of the penultimate houses, one of the main houses of this, and it's a thriller. So there's creepy music going on, some other things to go with it, but they have an adjacent video to this with the stars themselves walking through this virtual reality. Mike, you mentioned new revenue streams. Pretend I'm a green integration owner. I just took over a company. Help me walk through that. What are you thinking when you're thinking new revenue streams?
So are you looking for me to outline like what the process would look like, or you made the statement that AR and VR these are possible revenue streams, right? So
what revenue streams are you thinking?
Okay, so the active revenue streams that my company is pursuing and getting is, number one, medical training. So there is a program that we are launching with a health system where we're able to get the doctors an AR application so that when they're walking around the hallways, they can see a particular poster that may say, scan here for the latest training on X. Because it's something that the hospital systems are struggling with in terms of how do we get the doctors this short little bit of training in a way that we can turn it into a contest, make it fun. So that's one area that is creating a line of revenue for us. The other area is for nonprofit organizations. We have developed a couple of VR applications to help them visualize what it is that they're raising money for. So if there's a particular space that they are trying to implement technology into, then we've created a VR application that they paid for, the nonprofit paid for, in order for them to then take that application box and go to donors and say, this is what we want to create. So those are active revenue streams for us right now.
Very good. All right. Now his video's chopped up. This is a fabulous. You back with us, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You froze for a second. So
a lot of it.
I'm gonna go home and go to bed. Okay. Or drink something. I'm gonna drink some of Neto's,
cough medicine.
Johnny Walker. All right. Moving on. Last story here, and I'll let you guys get out of here. Again, sharing screen. Rethinking AV from our friends across the pond at AV Magazine. AV Connections, which they're dubbing the network for the AV community, which sounds very, very like a nice. That's a nice tagline. Somebody should steal that. Quote unquote, we're all used to being bombarded with messages telling us we need to change to survive, build the agile workforce, and react to market movements faster. But do we actually know how we should do that, and what tools will be available to support such change? Here's the thing, and AV Magazine they do some really, really innovative things in the UK specifically. This is one of them. It's a AV Connections for these guys. It's a group of folks. Right now, it's technology managers, and they're moving into consultants and eventually integrators, and they're bringing people together to talk about some of these things. One of the things that I have learned over the years and over the last few years specifically in covering AV and in covering the U.S. versus other markets, the States have a couple of interesting challenges. Number one is our size. England is not that big. The UK is not that big from a geographic standpoint. I love this idea. I would love to see something like this happen in the States. The question is how, right? AVNation could sponsor, something similar to this in St. Louis, right? St. Louis is a nice central location. It's somewhat easy to get to. Chicago would be another possibility. Center of the country. You both are on the East Coast. Neither of you would come. And I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being honest. Neither of you would come. Now, if we held it in New York, you guys would absolutely come. Our buddy Josh Trego, who is a consultant out of San Francisco, is not going to make a 5-hour flight to go to so you see where I'm going with this. Chris, I'm going to start with you on this. First of all, do you see a need? Do you see a use case for something like this in the States, period? And if so, how do we do it?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you don't have people coming to where you are in St. Louis because you can't even keep your football teams, dude.
Oh, you know what?
I've been waiting for years to drop one of those into it because
Chicago Bears. I believe there's still a team technically in Chicago.
Not in St. Louis.
You
guys cannot barely keep the Cardinals.
No, hang on, time out. There never has been a team in St. Louis.
There's never been a team in Chicago in the last 20 years.
No. Not since 86.
1984, baby.
Or 84. I'm sorry. They were still trying in 86 to battle some other team that had to destroy them. But that's not important right now. What we're talking about is these regionalized shows and how AV needs help with business practices. I think that a lot of trade associations have gone down this road already, trying to talk about the business. But here's the problem that we've discussed on our other show. The hot trendy thing is as a service. My biggest problem with as a service is that I don't think people are seeing as a service and reacting to as a service in the proper way. What do I mean by that? You cannot just buy a piece of software, resell it, and call yourself a company that's doing as a service. It is a complete mindset shift from a box sale to having the proper people in place and having the right education given to those people. We are more, and this has been shown at Infocom versus an ISE. There are more classes and more attendance of classes that are AV-related tech courses at Infocom than it is at ISE. Education for us here is huge. We go down that road. But one thing we don't do a lot of on the educational side is how to help with that business. That's usually typically resolved for just the CEOs who are going to maybe an AVEC or a BLC or type like that. But the fact is we all need to be educated in that because we all have to get on that mind shift. A couple of years ago, I went under a training program when I was at a pharmaceutical company for Six Sigma. Okay. Why did the AV guy go under a Six Sigma program? Because Six Sigma was not just lean manufacturing, it was also a lean process. And if IT was using it and I wanted to be part of a Six Sigma process, I had to get schooled in it. So I got my Six Sigma yellow belt to partake in these green belt projects so I can understand the languages. That's what I'm getting at, is that these companies and this type of show is absolutely necessary, and it's not just for the CEOs. The CEOs, yes, have to go and they have to have the buy-in, but they have to come back. And the only way you're going to come back and get buy-in from your own company is if you have other voices within your company that buy into this idea and believe in it.
All right. Mr. Shen, from your standpoint, could we use something like this, and how do we pull it off?
So maybe, Tim, you can help me with something I'm struggling with. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Is Connections just a group of local integrators getting together on a regular basis to discuss ideas? Am I getting that correct?
Well, to start with, it's technology manager, but yes, eventually they're going to expand it to consultants and integrators and other people in the AV chain. So
I think that the U.S., because you're absolutely right, and Chris, to your point, you're absolutely on target as well. But I think that the size of the U.S., you can't necessarily just do one large organization like they can in parts of Europe. But we do have so many different channels for that. The Infocom roundtables were a way that we were able to get together and do something like that. The CI/CE Pro Summit is what we do there. AVWeek, BLC. And then for the integrators, you have PSNI, you have USAV, you have the Ignite program. I mean, there's so many different organizations already in place. Is this not meeting the needs of the industry to be able to feed all of these things? That's what I'm asking you guys.
That's a good point. The one thing I would say is a lot of those organizations, as well as events that you mentioned, PSNI is a regional thing. Like you can't have two PSNI members in St. Louis. You can't have two in Philly. The roundtables have gone to the wayside. Mm-hmm. Infocom is trying to ramp up their live and local stuff, but that's not quite been rolled out yet. They do have their regional shows. They've gone to San Jose and Boston and New York. They're in New York next week with their IoT device. The NSCA has BLC, which is, again, a once a year deal. It's in one location, so you're traveling there.
And Pivot to Profit too. That's coming up in the fall.
Okay, and then you've got Almo, and you've got some other regional shows that are smaller trade shows, but again, they're regional, and those guys do travel the country, and there's a couple more that do that. And I guess that does seem to do that. I saw this as more of a akin to the roundtable, which I personally absolutely loved. I thought it was a great event. And I was really looking forward to the live and locals and hoping that Infocom ramp those up, rather quickly, because again, the roundtables were a nice regional for folks to kind of get together and do this exact thing.
I have a problem.
Okay.
And my problem is me picking on the industry in general. These type of events, okay, think back to when you guys were technology techs or, entry-level people. You see all these things, you want to go, you can't. Okay, one of the things that we have an inherent problem within the AV industry is that these are held as rewards for certain people within a company. Okay, the right person who should be going not necessarily is the person who's going. And it can be because they are just not up for rewards at the time. I've seen this in my career where people get picked to go to certain things, and you're like, why are they going there? And you don't question it. I mean, typically, you're working for a smaller integrator or something like that. It's a moms and pop shop. They have their asinine reasons, and you agree with it and just say, okay, I'm just going to put my head down and go to work. But the fact is that how many people have gotten passed over from going to an event where they can express their opinion or ask the questions to some of the people that are sitting there, and that's part of the reason why AVNation, I think, even was created, was that we wanted a forum to speak our minds and talk about certain things. And this is a topic that's come up numerous times. How do people select who goes to these things? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love BLC. but there's a charge to go to BLC, and your company has to front that. So when it comes down to it, are they going to send the senior tech who is maybe somebody who is on the rise, or are they going to reward the guy who just sold, $5 million worth of product? Those two people walk into a room, I can pretty much bet who's going to go and who's not. So that's just my bone to pick.
Well, I agree that is a problem that's rampant throughout the industry. Thankfully, NSCA has some options for that, through the form of scholarships in order to sponsor people to attend. But you're right, Chris. Is the right person always in the room? Are these events really supposed to be incentives or fringe benefits for the work of high performers when maybe they're not the ones that are going to be influential in bringing back the content and the information to be able to spread it to the rest of the organization? I do see that as something that is limiting. So, keeping that in mind and keeping in mind that the roundtable discussions have gone away, and really, I think, Tim, what you're describing as the AV Connections is more of just an exchange of problems and ideas and solutions, then maybe there is a need for something like this, but it would have to be done regionally. Almost the way that any of our listeners that use Salesforce uses regional user groups, and they get together about once every 2 to 3 months and exchange ways that Salesforce can be improved, or what they're doing, or what code they wrote, or features or add-ons that you can find online, etc. And it's a very effective way of keeping the end users engaged, but that's costly. I mean, typically when they do it, it's going to be at like a steakhouse where they rent out one of the rooms and they do presentations, and then it's a lunch discussion about what you're doing with Salesforce. And so this industry doesn't have a reputation for being able to necessarily fund something like that without the integrators contributing heavily. Maybe an organization like that could get manufacturer sponsors and then really be able to pull off a really nice event in multiple regions. Yeah.
All right, guys. That's going to do it. I'll let you guys get out of here for the nice 3-day weekend. Mr. Netto, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
How do people find you?
Well, before my internet decides to crap out on me, you can find me on the internet. I am on at Chris_Netto. That is my Twitter. You can find me at hashtag MHO show, which is the hashtags that we do for the MHO show, which you can find right here on the AVNation network. How you like that product plug?
Very nice.
You can also find me and the company that I work for on a daily basis at www. And I'm going to add the W's, avhelpdesk.com.
All right, very good. Yeah, and if you MHO just got our approval to be on iTunes. So if you're on the iTunes and that's how you subscribe to podcasts, you can get them there. So
wait. And speaking of that, why aren't you airing the fact that we have a little thing going? You don't think I can get so many viewers to
I don't
have the viewers. You don't want to bring it up, but the fact is this, and I'm going to make the plea on AVWeek. You go to iTunes. And you go and you subscribe, you give us 5 stars and a comment, I am going to prove Tim wrong. Do it. Go right now. Don't waste any more time listening to this.
We have a wager. So let's just say that involves a never mind. All right, Mike. Thank you, sir.
All right. I don't even want to know what it's going to involve. No. Probably has something to do with a primate. So you can find me on Twitter at AXPMike. You can also find information about my company, IMS Technology Services, at imsts.com, which is our new website. We're very excited because it's a lot fewer letters than IMS Technology Services. And of course, I join on occasion when I'm not on the lam in the Caribbean or in the Southeast. On the MHO show as well with Chris. So please listen. Please go to iTunes. Please 5 stars and 1 word. That's all we need.
And real quickly, you're also heavily involved with NSCA's Ignite program. How do people find out more about that?
Absolutely. You can go to the NSCA website, nsca.org, go to the NSCA Foundation, and you can find out all the information about the great things that the foundation is doing for the industry. The Ignite program geared towards creating awareness in the marketplace that the industry exists and trying to retain good new talent to come into the industry from outside the industry. It is a grassroots effort, starting with school outreach and colleges and what have you. But there's going to be a lot more exciting stuff that we're going to be announcing in the next couple months. We just had our summit meeting in Minneapolis last week, and a lot of good things came out of it. So things are in the works, and there will be more announcements coming soon.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
you're not ending it yet because I know you will forget to do this. Coming up next week, you have to go check out the IoT show in New York. Our friend, editor, and international man of leisure right now as he travels up from New York to the Boston area for Labor Day weekend. You can catch Josh Rago. He will be one of the presenters at IoT. Then after that, the man who's going to tell you not to follow him, I'm going to tell you to follow him because he's on his way down to CEDIA in Dallas to go check out what's going on there because you won't promote yourself, so I have to do this for you.
Well, I was going to mention the CEDIA. I mean, it was.
Well, now you can mention more. Give him more details.
Thank you. Yes, the IoT. If you're in New York, check that out. Josh will be there. David Danto, very, very smart guy. Also the host of another one of our shows called Connected, will be there. You may find a sighting of George Tucker in that New York area. Very possible. Possibly Mr. Netto. It's entirely up to his schedule. Mm-hmm. So go by that. It's actually a really cool thing. Infocom's been started doing the IoT thing for a while now. They had their first summit in May. They did another one at Super Tuesday this past June at Infocom show, and so this is kind of a continuation of that. And then yes, Chris is right. CEDIA, 2 weeks. We will be bringing you CEDIA, booth tours, stuff like that. We will be having a tweet up if you're going to the show Thursday from 4 to 6 back in the back beer garden. All I know is that there will be beer and food and a mechanical bull. All on
Yay!
But yeah, that's we're lots of cool stuff. We've got interviews. We've got a lot of folks that I'm really excited about having do the booth tours. We've got our buddy Rich Fergosa is going to be doing it. Stephen Bronner's going to be doing some. May or may not have Mr. Matt Scott. That's still kind of up in the air because as he and his wife just welcomed a new child. So it'll be fun. So yeah, check that out. We have a landing page, a little section, CEDIA section on our website. So check that out if you would, please. And go by the website. Speaking of that, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You will find this program. You can subscribe and let MHO know how much you like them, and a whole lot of others. So AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been AV Week.